Hey everybody, how you doing? We are back with another video. It's been a while since I have put out a new video, but I figure under the current circumstances with the whole virus situation and a lot of people being home from school and learning at home, this would be a good opportunity to get some more videos put up. So we're going to start with this one for today. So comparing numbers is what we're going to look at today right here. And we're just going to look at mainly some three-digit numbers, being able to tell which numbers are bigger, which ones are smaller, okay, using less than, greater than, and equal to. And we're going to get to that in just a little bit. But right now, we're just going to look at two three-digit numbers. Now, the first thing that we need to make sure that we know how to do is knowing how to use, or not knowing how to use, but knowing how to compare single-digit numbers. Okay, single-digit numbers are the basis for all this stuff. Okay, knowing how to compare these two three-digit numbers, or comparing two six-digit numbers, or even bigger. Okay, even later on, once we start talking numbers that are smaller than one, or talking about decimals that are parts of one. Okay, knowing how to compare single digits is how we are going to be able to do all of this stuff with bigger numbers. So if you can tell which number is bigger, 7 or 3, or 9 or 8, or 5 or 0, okay? All of those, just that simple little skill of knowing how to compare single-digit numbers is going to help you compare big, gigantic numbers, okay? Or medium-sized numbers, just like we're going to see here. So first off, we have an example right here that says, which number is less, 341 or 314? Okay. Now, right off the bat, if you've done this before, okay, you know exactly what to do. You know which one's bigger. But if you look at the two numbers, they are very, very similar. We have 341, 314. They all, or both numbers, have a 3, a 4, and a 1. They're just in different orders. Okay. This one's 341. This one's 314. They look very similar. And if you don't have a whole lot of experience comparing numbers, or you're not really talking numbers with three digits quite yet, you might think, hey, those look alike. They're the same number. But not quite. Okay? Got to be very careful the order that those numbers come in. And you'll see why in just a moment here. So down below, to help you see exactly what's going on here. Okay, these should look familiar to you. Yeah, most of the time in school, you see this kind of setup. You've got both numbers written right down here, and we have a model, okay, a visual model, because a lot of people are visual learners. Okay, you need pictures to really help you understand exactly what's going on. Okay, so we're just going to take a look at 341 here. Now, what do you see in these pictures are three different kinds of things. Okay, you see a big square. Okay, that's got a whole bunch of little squares in it that we call flats. That's what I'm going to call a flat. Okay, one flat with a whole bunch of squares in it. You've got these sticks, we're going to call rods, that have fewer little tiny blocks in it. And then you just got these little guys right here that are just one single little cube, one little block. Okay, now in these big ones right here, each one of these is 100 of those little teeny tiny blocks. Okay, so that is 100, that's 100, and that is 100. Okay, each one of these have 100 of these teeny tiny little blocks right here. Now, if you want to pause right now and count them, just to make sure, if you don't trust me, go for it. But I can tell you right now, each one of these does have 100. It is a 10 by 10, which means it has 10 rows of 10. Each one of these rods right here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these individual little blocks. So we have a 10, a 10, a 10, and a 10. And then, of course, just this little guy right here is 1. Okay? So each one of these flats has 100 little blocks. These rods have 10 little blocks, and these little blocks are just little blocks. Okay? So there's just 1 in there. Okay? So if we count all of these up, we have 100 right here, another group of 100, so 200, and another group of 100, so 300 little cubes, 3 groups of 100, or 300. So we can just write that down right here. Okay, So we have 300 with all of those. Okay? Then we get down to these rods right here that have 10 each. So we can count 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, so we have 4 groups of 10 or 40 little individual blocks. And then of course we just have our 1 right here. Okay, so if you look at our number over here, 341, we do have a 3 in the 100s place, which is exactly what we have over here, 3 100s. We have a 4 in the tens place, which we do have over here. We have 4 groups of 10 or 40. Okay, so 300, there's our 300. 40, there's our 40. And we have 1 left over right there. Good stuff. Okay, so we got 341. There's our model, that's our picture for 341. Now we do the same thing down here. Okay, we look at right here, that's 100, just like we had up above. This is 100, just like we had up above. And this is 100, just like we had up above. For a grand total of 300. Just like before. Okay. Then we go to our tens. We just have 1 group of 10 right here, which is just 10 all by itself. Okay. And then over here, in this group, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 individual blocks. 4 single blocks right there. Okay. So we look at our number over here, that's 300, just like before. We have a 3 in the hundreds place. We only have 1 group of 10, so we have a 1 in the hundreds place. And we have 4 individual blocks, so we put our 4 in the ones place. We got all of our numbers accounted for. Now we can compare them, okay, using our pictures, which is exactly what we want to do. Okay? So, looking at just the hundreds, and we're going to look in 2 different places. Number 1, let's look at the picture first. We're going to start on the left side, and we're going to work our way to the right. Okay. So, on the left side, we have our hundreds, okay, which if we look at our numbers over here, that's just 3, okay? So, each one's got a 3. That's the same, but let's take a look at our picture. We have 3 groups of 100 up here. Down here, we have 3 more groups of 100. So far, we have the same number. Okay? So that's not going to help us too much. That's not going to tell me which one's bigger, which one's smaller, or which one, or if they happen to be equal. Okay? Have to go deeper into our number in order to find that out. So let's take a look at our tens. The 3's are the same. Our tens, though, we have 4 groups of 10 up here, or 40. We only have 1 group of 10 down here. So which one is bigger then, and which one is smaller? Well, the one up here has more groups of 10 than this one has. 4 groups compared to 1 group. So that tells me right there, okay, the hundreds are the same, but this one right here has more tens. So it doesn't matter what the ones are. That tells me that this one is the biggest number. So we're going to write biggest right there. And this one is the smallest number. Okay. Now just for fun, we can look at the ones too, but that's not really going to help us because the tens told us exactly what we had to know. Okay, they told us which one of these numbers is bigger. That is what made the difference first. If we go from left to right, okay, we're going to see what is the same, and if stuff continues to be the same, we're going to keep on going until we find something different. Okay. Now, if there were 4 groups of 10 here, if this was 344 instead of 314, there would have been 4 groups of 10. We would have had to keep going, okay, because the tens would have been the same. So then we would have looked at our single digits. We would have had 4 down here and a 1 up there. Would have been the opposite situation. We would have had the biggest down here and the smallest up there. But as the case is, 341 is bigger than 314. We can look at the number without having to draw a picture. We can look at the number and see the exact same thing, okay? Exactly what the picture says. 3 in the hundreds place, that's the same. But which number in the 10 spot? Because they're not the same, which one is bigger? Well, the 4 is bigger than the one right there, which is exactly what we found over here using that picture at the same time. Okay, so that would have told me, yep, okay, 341 is bigger than 314. We could also just get rid of our 3's And we could say, okay, which one's bigger, 41 or 14? Well, 14 is a pretty small number. 41 is a bigger number than that. Okay? Still tells me that this whole number is bigger than 314 down below. Okay? So that is bigger, that is smaller. But we're going to throw something else at you right here. Okay? We're going to compare using these symbols right here. And that is something that you may or may not have seen before. Now, we also see these little circles right here. That's where we're going to put one of those symbols. But how do we know which symbol to use to help compare numbers? Well, let's put it up here. Okay? We've got 3 different symbols. A sideways caret that opens up this direction. We have a sideways caret that opens up this direction. And then we have this sign right there, which probably should look familiar. Okay? That is your equal sign. That means the same. Okay? So that is the same or equal. Okay? So we know what that means. That's something that we see all the time. Okay? Whenever we do math, if you're using a calculator, you have an equal sign on there. That's a very, very common familiar sign. Okay? But these ones are a little bit different. These ones you don't use a ton until you probably get to about this age. When you start to get into middle school a little bit, you use them a lot more once you get into algebra, into high school level. Okay? But middle school, high school is when you start using these a lot. And there's going to be something else that they add to it later. We're not going to talk about that now. But this one right here is your greater than symbol. The one below it is the less than. Okay? Now, greater than also means more or bigger. So I'll put bigger underneath of it. And less is smaller than. Okay, so greater is bigger, less is smaller. Now, why do we say that? Well, if I had, for example, let's do it up here in the corner. Let's do 1, and I'll put a circle in the middle, kind of like we'll have below, and 2. Okay. Now, first off, which one of these numbers is bigger? Well, 2. Okay. Hopefully we know that 2 is a bigger number or a greater number than 1. Okay. But the way I want you to think about these symbols is that no matter which one of these you use, I want you to visualize them as an alligator. That's how I was taught when I was in school, is that each one of these kind of looks like an alligator's mouth. Or you could think about it as whatever kind of mouth you want to. If you want to imagine that there's a little bit of a circle around there, it could be Pac-Man. Hopefully you know what Pac-Man is. Get my reference there, my old 80s reference. But it's going to open up, okay, a certain way. If you are a hungry, hungry alligator, or a hungry, whatever you happen to be, and you are really, really, really hungry, and you've got a couple animals in front of you, are you going to want to eat the bigger animal or the smaller animal if you are a very, very hungry alligator? If I'm hungry and I'm an alligator, I want to eat the bigger animal. Okay, that's going to get me more full. And that's the way that I'm going to open my mouth up to, is going to be on the bigger animal side. Same deal here. Okay, you're going to imagine that these signs are opening up to the bigger number. Okay, so if we look at this example right here, which number is bigger, 1 or 2? 2 is. So which number is that alligator going to want to eat? Well, that 2 is the bigger animal. So we're going to open it up to the 2 side. Okay, and I'll write it down here even a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. So 1, but it's going to open up to the 2 side. Now the way you would write this, though, because that is the less than symbol, okay, just like a book, you're going to read it from left to right. Okay, so you would say 1 is less than 2. Okay, let's flip-flop it. Let's put 2 on that side with a circle in between and then a 1. Which one? Okay, the 2 is still going to be bigger, but this time it's going to open up to the bigger animal, which is on that side. Okay, but we know that that symbol is not the same as that symbol. Okay, that is not less than right here. This is less than, this is greater than. Okay, so we're going to read it just a little bit differently. If we're reading from left to right, we are going to say 2 is greater than 1. Okay, so that's the difference. That's how you're going to say it. But the important thing is knowing which direction that sign is going to point. Okay, it's always going to open up to the bigger animal. Bigger animal's over on this side. It's going to open up that direction. If the bigger number or animal is going to be on that side, it'll open up that direction. Okay, but keep that in mind. Okay, so we just need to know the signs right now. We don't necessarily need to know what each one is called, but we need to know that it opens up to the bigger number. Unless they're the same number, then we put an equal sign. So let's move down here. Let's take a look at some of these examples right here. So, number 1, 754 blank 745. Just like our example before, both of these numbers have the same digits. Okay, they have a 7, a 5, and a 4. But the 5 and the 4 are in different directions. Okay, they're in different area or spaces in the number. They're not different directions, they're in different spaces. So, what I want to do is I want to, first of all, just like we did up here, I want to look at the hundreds. We're going to compare the hundreds. Okay, so this number and this number. Okay, the 100 spot and the 100 spot. 7 and 7. Well, I know that 7 and 7 are the same number, so that doesn't tell me much right now. Okay, so we need to move on to the 10 spot, see if there's anything different there. We move on to the 5 and the 4. All right, we have different numbers. So that tells me what? Well, that tells me that 5 is a bigger number than 4 if we're just looking at single digits. Okay, so 5 is a bigger number than 4. That tells me, all right, this one right here is going to be our winner. That's the one that's going to be the bigger number because the 7s were the same, but the 5, there's 5 groups of 10 in there. This one's only got 4 groups of 10. Even though the 1s are smaller in this one, the important thing is the first digit that is different. Okay, 7 is the same, but that 5 and 4 are different. Okay, that 5 tells me, you know what? This one is bigger. It's going to open up to that side. So we say 754 is greater than 745. Okay, good stuff. Example number 2. We have 80 and we have 80. Well, right off the bat, you can hear that they are equal. Okay, you can hear that they're the same number. That's 80, that's 80. Okay, but just to be safe, we're going to do the same exact thing that we just got done doing. Okay, we're going to check the 10s, which is the biggest digit on the left. There's our 8, and there's our 8. Same digit, so we can move on to the next one. The 1 spot, we have 0 1s, and we have 0 1s. So the 8s are the same, zeros are the same, therefore we have an equal right there. Okay, good stuff. Let's take a look at, let's jump down to number 7. Okay, 518, 581. Okay, so 518 and 581, we look at the 100 spot first. Okay, that's the biggest number that we have, and the 5 and 5 are the same. Okay, so that doesn't tell me much. I have to go on to the next set. I have to go on to that next place value. So we have our 10s right here. We have a 1 in that 10 spot, and we have an 8 in that 10 spot. Oh boy, we have something different. Okay, so that tells me right there, this number's smaller, 1 is smaller than 8. That automatically tells me, you know what, we're going to open up to that side. Because the 5s are the same, but this one has more 10s than this one has. Okay, so the first number that's different is in the 10 spot. So I'm going to open up to the one that's bigger in that 10 spot. Okay, so we would say 518 is less than 581. Now what if I ran into a situation like this? Okay, what if I had 1,415 and 972? Okay, 1,415, 972. Okay, there's something a little bit different about this one, because this one has 1, 2, 3, 4 digits in it. This one only has 1, 2, 3. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that they have the same number of digits. Okay, that way I can fairly compare. So let's do that down here where I've got a little bit more space. So this one already has 4. I want to make sure this 972 has 4. So I'm going to add digits before that first number so that I make it the same number of digits I have there. So I have 1,415. And over here, I would have to put a 0 and 972 just to make sure that they have the same number of digits. Okay. If this was 11,415, I would have to put 2 zeros out front to make sure that I've got 2 numbers in front of the 9, so each one would have 5. In this case, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can fairly compare. So 1, look in the thousands. Okay. And that's in the thousand spot right there. Already we have a different number. Okay. We have a 1 here in that thousand spot. We have a 0 in that thousand spot. Okay, so 972 has no thousands, 0 thousands. So which one has more thousands? Right here. Okay, that one automatically has more thousands. I don't even have to look at the rest of that number. Okay, because this one, farthest left, we ran into our first number, just happens to be different in both numbers. Okay, 1 is greater than 0, so that tells me, all right, 1,415 is greater than 972. Okay, so that's the key right there. Okay, start on the far left side. Now, if you want to draw a picture for all these, you are more than welcome to. Whatever is going to help you learn the best. Okay, whatever is going to make it easier for you, go for it. Okay, but one easy way to do it is just start on the left side and read from left to right. Okay, start with the numbers. If you need to stack them, feel free to stack them. You could stack them just like this. You could say, okay, 1,415 and 0,972. And just like we did up here, you could line them up right there, okay, and say, okay, 1 and 0. Well, right off the bat, 1's bigger than 0. That's our winner. Okay, that one is the bigger one. And then you can put whatever sign you need to in the circle right between them. Okay. But start on the left, make sure they have the same number of digits, and then just compare. Okay, so 3 and 3, same number. If you get the same number, move on to the next one. 4 and 1, 4 is bigger than 1. That tells me right there that number is in fact bigger. Okay, that is greater than the other number. Okay, so I threw a lot of stuff at you. The rest of the problems I'm going to leave right here. If you want to take a moment and pause at the very end of this video, feel free to do so. I'm going to leave those right there, so you are welcome to try those out. Okay. But for the time being, we're going to wrap this video up. So that was comparing numbers. So keep an eye out. We're going to do another video on ordering numbers in the very near future as well. That should be uploaded very soon, or maybe the same time as this one. But in the meantime, if you are interested and you want to continue to have videos like this, I highly encourage it, especially these days with learning from home. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to send them my way. If you have a video you want to see made that you need help with, drop it in the comments. Tell me what your topic is that you want to learn about. Could be math, could be science, could be reading, could be whatever. Okay, feel free to throw that in the comments. Okay, and as always, if you enjoyed this, if this helped you at all, hit that subscribe button and hit that bell. Okay, that way you will know whenever new videos are uploaded, and you will know exactly when there's going to be new content on this channel. And of course, check out the MR Academy Facebook page as well. I will be posting updates on there, letting you know exactly what I'm uploading and when I am uploading it as well. And that's a good place to drop any video suggestions too. So, thank you for watching, enjoy, and feel free, like I said, test out any of these that we haven't done, get some practice in. And if you have any future video suggestions, drop them in the comments below. So thank you for watching, and we will see you later.